Hi everybody, I'm Anita from KetogenicWoman.com. Welcome everybody to my Tuesday talk. Today I'm going to talk about a couple things. I have my results for August. I did my weighing and measuring this morning at the 4-week mark, August 28th. So yes, there are still a couple of days left, and probably for my own personal notes or whatever, I'll do that again on August 31st. But August 31st, you'll already be watching this, so I wouldn't have an update on that. But I do have the first 4 weeks. And I also will talk about September and what will change for me in September, and options for joining in with me. These are just personal challenges. It's fun to do it with other people. They don't cost anything. Just join in by saying you want to join in. And So first, let's talk about August. So August, I was keeping track on here on my little sheet. This month I did, from the dollar store, I did obtain a official calendar with, I'll talk more about that later, but so I've basically been keeping track of exercise, and I gave myself, a little stamp for having a successful day, and I'm pretty happy to say that all the days were successful. My thing this month, now some were more successful than others, and I'll get to that because I want to talk about things that I learned this month about myself and how I eat and what could be holding me back. So, but I stayed clean ketovore for these 28 days, and that was my challenge, to be clean ketovore, 28 days, no desserts, no keto desserts, anything like that. So that went really well. I haven't had any keto desserts. The only sweetener that did creep in was those few days when I was using an electrolyte while I was waiting for my unsweetened electrolyte to come in. And most electrolytes do have some stevia in them, and I don't have a problem with that. And this particular electrolyte, it's LMNT, Element. To me, they don't taste sweet, so I don't have that, it's going to cause cravings. To me, they taste salty. I really like those. As far as what I learned, so I made a bunch of notes here about things that I learned in August. And one of the major ones, if you have been following me in August, I started off the month saying I was going to do clean ketovore. And I started off with 2 allotted, allowable, legal, whatever, term you want to use, 2 types of snacks. I was allowed to either have bacon or a boiled egg, and by bacon, it was just like a bag of pre-cooked bacon, that I prepare every weekend, and I'm going to prepare some this morning as well. I keep it in a bag in the fridge, and then I can take it with me if I have to go somewhere, or I can, have it as part of a meal or whatever. So I had started off the month saying I was allowed to have bacon out of the bag, and I also keep a bowl of boiled eggs in the fridge, and I was allowed to have an egg if I was hungry. Those 2 things, nothing else. Well, by the end of the 2nd week, I realized that the bacon as an allowed snack was a huge mistake and an issue, because whether I was hungry or not, there's always room for bacon. And there's always a justification for bacon. And it was a dumb idea on my part. Totally. If it works for you, great. Did not work for me. And so around the 2nd week, and I even talked about it in one of the Tuesday talks in August, snacks, period, were off the table. No snacks. Doesn't matter if it was egg, bacon, whatever. No snacks. Any bacon, anything, or even the boiled eggs, had to be part of a meal. Like it could not be, I feel like something, I think I'll have bacon. So yeah, so that is a huge thing that I learned. And it made me aware that I had been doing, not very mindful snacking. I mean, all keto stuff, but I can't really complain if my weight is not moving, if I'm, eating bacon in between meals. And, not keeping, like I generally don't keep track, and I didn't keep track of calories or macros in August. So I don't really know if those bacon or boiled egg snacks, what they were adding to, I just don't know. And so I don't know if I wasn't eating enough, or if I was eating enough and then this was just adding on extra, macros. So snacking, no more. The other thing was I think I mentioned that. Yeah, the sweetener. So I did live without keto dessert. So I guess what I learned is I can live without keto desserts. I'm still not ready to say no keto desserts ever. Not ready for that. But I think for September, the no snacking thing is going to solve a lot of my keto dessert issues as well. And I'll get to that in a minute. So those are the two main things that I kind of brought, I'm bringing with me forward to September, is that I can live without desserts, and snacking is not serving me well. My results. I'm going to give you my results now, and then we're going to talk about September. So, of course, I'm always hoping for more, but I'm a super slow loser, so I'm actually pretty excited about this. Total pounds lost, 5.5 pounds. Total inches lost, 4.5 inches. 2 of those being off my waist, and 1 inch, a whole inch off my thighs. And that makes me very happy because, from the waist down, I'm bigger than from the waist up, like 2 sizes probably. And so anything I can lose from my thighs, I lost half an inch off my hips and half off my bust too. So yeah, anything I can lose off my thighs is always a good thing. So really happy about that. I'm such a slow loser, and to have results like that, it actually gives me hope that with some mindfulness and kind of just paying attention to a few key things, that I can get the rest of the way to my goal. So what am I bringing forward into September for myself? And I'm hoping that some people follow along with me, but certainly, challenge yourself just to take one small thing away. Maybe it's dairy, or maybe it's sweeteners, or, a lot of the things that I don't eat today are because I did a 30-day challenge on them. A good example is nuts. At least 2 years ago, I did a 30-day challenge of not having nuts. I still don't eat nuts now to this day because I saw what a problem it was by doing that 30 days. Now, I have never said I will never ever have nuts again. It's not, a declaration that I've made, but I just don't eat nuts. Like, I learned something from that. Every once in a while, if there's some kind of a keto recipe and it has a little bit of nuts in the recipe, I'm okay with that. But what I was doing is buying nuts as a snack, macadamia nuts, for example. And I don't know, I think 10 nuts is a serving, and I would polish off the bag within, short order, like not even within a week, like sometimes less. So that was clearly an issue that I wasn't recognizing as an issue because they were keto or low carb or whatever. that's all well and good, but you still, you know, there's still there was still a lot more going in than what needed to be going in, and there was still that addictive quality of eating nuts for me. Might not be a problem for you. Anyways, that was just an example of something that one could challenge themselves to if they suspect maybe there's a problem. So for September, I'm going to continue on with the no snacking. I am going to continue on with focusing on beef and clean ketovore. So those are my two mainstays. I am going to allow the sweeteners, but in a totally different way than what I was doing before. When I went no sweetener in September, it was because I was recognizing I was overusing them and having too many keto desserts and things like that, and that wasn't serving me. So it's okay if I have an electrolyte drink with some sweetener in it. A lot of them have stevia. I'm going to go ahead. I do have my clear keto chow drops. That's my main electrolyte. But sometimes I really feel like having one of the flavored ones. Really like the one. There's one that tastes like, it's an Element citrus. I think it tastes like a margarita. I know that's a little bit wacky, but sometimes, like especially when I go to the pool, I like that salty electrolyte drink that from there. But that's okay. To me, that's not a dessert. If I have something with sweetener in it, it has to be for a purpose. It has to be part of the meal and not something else between meals, like keto cookies, that sort of thing. I'm not going to be doing those this month. So, a good example is sometimes I like to make Carnivore Angels Hawaiian rolls, and they have allulose in them. And I think the allulose is kind of an important part of that recipe. So if I feel like having those those Hawaiian rolls, as long as they're part of a meal, and the allulose is not making that item a dessert item, I'm okay with that. And same with, sometimes there are some recipes that might have something in it, like maybe I want to make chicken wings and I want it to be, a keto honey barbecue or something like that. I never do, but just in case. So the thing with that is part of a meal, minimal sweeteners, like nothing excessive, and if there's a special occasion and I do make some kind of a dessert, like a cheesecake or something, again, part of the meal, and the rest would have to go with people, go in the freezer, whatever, not to be used indiscriminately. We'll see how that works. I may get to, the first week or the second week of September and go, not working, that's gone, So it's going to be up to me to make a decision whether I can self-regulate that or not. If I want to get to my goal, obviously, whatever I've been doing, there has to be some changes. And if that has to be one of them, so be it. So this 30 days of no sweeteners has given me some strength, let me tell you. I think I can make a decision if needed when the time comes. I'm also going to incorporate some intermittent fasting, and that kind of happened naturally for me, especially towards once I took out the snacks and I really focused on the meat, I started to naturally, more of my days were 2 meals a day than 3. Sometimes I've had super long days, and that may happen in September. There might be days that get out of whack because of different things, might need a third meal. But I'm really going to focus on eating in an 8-hour window. and going the 16 hours and see how that is and where that goes. I'm also going to continue with allowing dairy, but again, not as snacks, like no cheese, no hunks of cheese on my plate with my other meat. There can be some cheese in a recipe. There can be some cream in a recipe, you know, like a Alfredo sauce or something like that with the meat. So limited dairy, part of my meal. And the last thing I'm going to incorporate, I think I've mentioned all these other 2 meals a day, is I'm going to keep track of what I spend. Last week, I put out a video for doing budget beef meals. Like I did a meal prep that focused on the lower cost beef. And I did another one yesterday that you haven't seen yet. It'll be out in a few days. And it was, some other low cost beef. And I got such a good response and so many comments on that first one that I feel like people are really thinking about this. And here we are, we're going into fall. I hate to say this, it's the C word, Christmas is coming. People want to save money somehow in order to have Christmas, a decent Christmas. It's hard. There's inflation, prices of butter here where I live, prices of butters skyrocketed, eggs are expensive. Even the non-organic eggs here where I live are $6.99 a dozen, in some places. It's getting expensive. Beef, all the beef I used to eat has gone up in price by a lot. And so I am going to, for September, focus on only eating meat that costs a maximum of $10 a pound. And I'm going to keep track of what I eat and add it all up. And you guys will know, I'll give a weekly report on what I spent, on what did I spend on my food last week, whatever it is. So I'll report back on that. And maybe this will help some of you who are struggling with staying carnivore on a budget or staying ketovore or keto or, whatever your particular plan is. I'll try to offer tips and different things like that throughout the week. I'm in accounting. I've been in accounting for a number of years, so I know budgeting, and I do it at work. It's about time I looked at it for home, and just try to cut back on the cost of living and the cost of doing this, and really be able to see, what does it cost? What can you get away with? What are the things that I can do this month to make sure I don't eat any meat that's over $10 a pound. All my favorites are over 10 right now, let me tell you. So there's going to have to be some good sales for me this month, or I'm just going to eat the other stuff. So that's going to be my thing, and I hope that gets some of you excited about following along with me this month. Let's see how much we can improve our eating and our mindfulness about snacks, and can we save money at the same time? That's a bonus. That's a super bonus. Okay, so how can you join in with me in what I'm calling the September IF Sizzle, IF being intermittent fasting. And that's just a name that we're using in my Facebook group. So you can certainly come and join my Facebook group. It is for women only, but the rest of you can follow me here on YouTube. I know I should start posting on Instagram. I have an Instagram account, but if you've ever looked at it, I just don't know how to use it, and so I have some posts on there, but they were very painful for me to put on there. I'll have to learn it someday. Anyways, here's some things you can do. You can go to my website and sign up for the mailing list. So there will be an email going out to like a newsletter. I do a twice monthly newsletter, and so there'll be information about it there. And you can get your. Actually, down below, I will put the link to this sheet. You can follow along at home by, doing whatever you want with this sheet. It's got all the starting statistics, ending statistics. There's 31 or 32 little circles here. I used it to keep track of my exercise and whether I had a good day or not. And this month I'd probably use it if I was, I haven't decided whether I'll use this calendar that I got from the dollar store or this sheet. I might do both and just see what I like best. The nice thing about the sheet is it's a little more portable. I can fold it up and put it in my purse if I needed to. So I'll probably keep track of whether or not I was same thing, my exercise, whether or not I met all my criteria for the day, and maybe how many hours I fasted, like, whether it was 16, 18, 12, whatever it turns out to be. So I'm going to put the link below for you to download that. I'm going to put my women's Facebook group down below if you want to join in with us. In the group, I do a daily posting. So that's that. I think. Oh, the other thing is that I wanted to mention is that I have this book called The Complete Guide to Fasting. It's from Jason Fung, and I actually bought it a few years ago. I did a read, but I never really took on the intermittent fasting. So I'm reading it again right now. And I will share things in it from time to time in my group. And I think I'm more ready to learn about this and to see where if this is something that's good for me or not. So I'm always open to new things and new ideas. Although sometimes I hang on to the old things very strongly. But I'm open to change. So, and I think that's an important thing. So, I think that's it. I'm going to wrap this up because I know that your time is valuable as well, and I hope that I give you some ideas and some motivation too. So. Watch for my budget, part 2 of my budget meets on. I think it'll be Thursday. This Thursday coming up, and watch out for all of my budget talk this month for different meats and trying to do this thing as low cost as possible. We'll see you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching.
That's that piece. Okay. I want to start this again. So,